There we go. Welcome to TikTok Live. Have fun interacting with your viewers in real time. Creators must be 18 or older to go live. Well, I can safely reassure you that I'm probably somewhere around 3 times that, so that part certainly doesn't apply here. Remember to create a safe viewing experience by following our community guidelines. Everybody knows what a crock TikTok's community guidelines are. Basically, the guidelines on TikTok are: number 1, don't show any naughty bits. Number 2, don't say certain controversial words. And number 3, don't you dare make fun at all about our paid advertisers. Do not ever say that some of the crap being advertised on TikTok is junk and a total scam. No, never say that. So I won't. Instead, we will just make ourselves a skillet cookie, exactly like the title of this video says. Yeah, I am just putting together a cookie tonight, kind of like in retaliation, or I guess I should say in reply, to my new neighbors who showed up at the door the other day. They showed up with a tray of homemade muffins in hand and said, "Hi, we're your new neighbors and we want you to have these muffins." And the muffins were good too, so it was a very pleasant greeting, which meant, of course, I have to reply in kind. I need to return their little muffin tray, and I figured the best thing to do would be to make a big cookie to go with it. Especially since these things are so easy and fast to make. I love any excuse at all to make a big skillet cookie, and I'm more than happy to do so. So with having said that, let's start with part 1, the dry ingredients. And this is going to have 1 3/4 cups of flour. This is a 3/4 cup. So there's 3/4. Here comes 1 1/2 cups. Now I switch to the 1/4 cup. Problem with flour is, of course, I get it all over the place. And there is 1 3/4 cups of flour. Now I've got a little bit of extra flour to get rid of so I don't spill it like I just did. Alright, then from here, move on now to 1 tisp of baking soda. So let's get out our measuring cups and find 1 tisp. Here's 1 tubst, and here's 1 tisp. And where is my baking soda? Here it is. Alright. Let's see, that means we have 1 tisp of baking soda. For the record, the oven is already heating up to 325 degrees Fahrenheit so that we can slowly bake this cookie without burning the outside. Alright. Next up, 1/4 tisp of kosher salt. Break out the kosher salt. And here is 1/4 tisp. Nice and easy. I do believe that's it for the dry ingredients. As a matter of fact, it is. So in that case, I'd better do one last thing, and that is whisk together. This whisk is still wet. I've got to get the other whisk, which means I've got to move this. Sorry about that, folks. Here it is. Take 2. Alright, that means we're going to have to whisk together these dry ingredients. Took a while to learn that whisking your dry ingredients is a necessity. It helps to keep it from clumping up, and essentially incorporates air into your batter so that it will be less like a brick and a little bit lighter. Should help it to rise a little better, distributing the baking soda all throughout the flour. And having said that, takes care of the dry ingredients. Move this to the side. Bring out another slightly smaller bowl. Now we get to work with our wet ingredients. All right, for that, we start out with 1 1/4 sticks of melted butter, which I melt. Okay, there's my whisk figures. That's what I get for not putting it in the right place. All right, anyway. 1 1/4 sticks of melted butter, which I melted in this convenient little cast iron saucepan here. For the record, this is a Birmingham Stove and Range Lady Bess series saucepan, which is a very, very useful saucepan. Okay. Then to this, we will then go with our brown sugar. We need 3/4 of a cup of brown sugar. So let's take out that 3/4 cup again. I'm sorry, I'll do the 1/4 cup. All right, so that means 3 of these. 1, 2, 3. There we go. Cover the brown sugar immediately. That's how I keep it from drying out. And to this, next we do 1/3 of a cup of white sugar or granulated sugar, so that this whole thing comes out to a little bit more than a cup of sugar. 1 1/6 cups, if I figure right. Okay, this is 1/3 of a cup of white sugar. So I mean, this takes no time at all to do here. We are now down to 1 egg, which I've had over here, coming up to room temperature. Careful with the egg. There we go. Finally, got to get this out of the fridge. 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. Roughly about that much. Because of course, you know, it's a chocolate chip cookie. Of course, you've got to have that very familiar vanilla taste to it. And from here, it's really just a matter of mixing the wet ingredients into the dry ingredients. And bam, we will have cookie dough. That's what I mean. This cookie dough is so easy to make. It's almost a question of why they even sell it at the store. Although I know the real reason why they sell it at the store. They sell cookie dough at the store so that people can just buy it and just start chomping on a big raw hunk of cookie dough, of course. Oh yeah, and make cookies with it too. Anyway, there's the wet part of our cookie dough. Now let's get back to the dry ingredients. I read on the internet that they've actually determined through some kind of scientific method or another that it really is better to mix the wet into the dry rather than the dry into the wet. So I'm taking their advice for whatever it's worth. I'm listening to the internet and mixing the wet into the dry. Little by little. more. All right. Now, mix this little bit in too. Num num. Oh yeah, is that ever sweet? Wow. Now we just simply start mixing it all together until we get cookie dough. Of course, since this is dough, and as I always get it all over the place, got to be careful. Since this is dough and not cake batter, it is going to reach the point where it looks like I will not be able to use this. Damn it, told you, all over the place. I won't. Shut up. Where I will not be able to use this spatula anymore because it does not look like it will be able to incorporate it any better. That is the point, and it looks like we're already approaching that point. Oh yeah, the chocolate chips are in the freezer for the record. I'll be getting them out in a minute. A little bit on the bottom. Okay. Now's the part, take up my ring. When I get in with my hands, get my hands all dirty. And it's once again getting it all over the place. Come on. And just patiently keep kneading. That will get the rest of this extra dough, flour rather, off the bottom. Eventually this will take on the consistency of cookie dough, which in fact it is already starting to do. See what I mean? This is so easy. It's one reason why I love making these big cookies from scratch. Another reason why I love making them from scratch is because they're so cheap, especially these days. When getting a giant cookie at Wally World would likely cost anywhere from $10 to $15. This is going to be about a 9-inch cookie. So I'm thinking more along the $10 line. I doubt all these ingredients cost maybe 1/3 to at most, and I doubt 1/2 of all that. There we go. Here is our cookie dough. Let's press my fingers in and get this residue off and into the dough. Then, I can't wash my hands yet because I have a little bit more kneading to do, because it's time now for the chocolate chips. Here we are. That should be enough. Yeah. This is definitely way more chocolate chips than you would get in a Wally World cookie. Oh, and by the way, when the hell did the price of chocolate go up? Good grief. I was at the supermarket today, and just a regular sized, we're talking like a 12-ounce, maybe a 10-ounce bag of chocolate chips cost $4. That's twice the amount. Must have cost that just last year. So whatever happened has driven the cost of chocolate up dramatically. Oh, good grief. I can only imagine what it's going to be like when Halloween rolls around. Anyway, all right, this last little bit, a little bit more, and then I will wash my hands. And don't worry anyway, this is going to go into a 325-degree oven, so if there are any cooties on my hands, they will be killed. But give me a second, please, to wash my hands right now. Which I'm trying to do as quickly as I can. Truth be told, I am not used to making cookies this small. If you look on my YouTube channel, Cast Iron Chaos, you will see that I love making giant pizza-sized cookies. We're talking cookies that are like 14, 15 inches in diameter, which really doesn't require, it only requires about double the amount of ingredients we have in here. All right. Anyway, now that I've wasted that much time, I get to put this aside. Well, maybe I might need it to scrape the rest of it into there. Let's move my measuring cups. And time to break out a vintage cast iron skillet. Because after all, the title of this does say Cast Iron Skillet Cookie. This is a Birmingham Stove and Range Red Mountain Series cast iron skillet. So what? Well, I know from that this skillet is likely close to 100 years old. And as you can see, it is still working just fine. It sits nice and flat too, although the heat ring probably helps. Anyway, all I need to do is to grease this with a little bit of Crisco. Get the Crisco out of the way. Doesn't even require a lot, partly because this is a well-seasoned cast iron pan. I use this. I have a lot of pans that I like to say are among my favorite kitchen users, but this is definitely among my favorite kitchen users. I call this pan lightning because it tends to cook food as fast as lightning. There we go. The pan is greased. And with that, the dough goes into the pan. There we go. A little bit there. Scrape the rest of it out of the bowl. Come on. Want it in the bowl, not in the thingy. Alright, and now we just simply start pressing it out. As you can see, that amount of ingredients is easily enough to fully fill this pan. In fact, we're going to end up with a very thick cookie. I'd have to say this cookie may very well be more like a cookie cake than a thin cookie. Not that anybody minds a thick cookie, mind you. As you can see, this filled out this little pan with no difficulty at all. I have no doubt that if I used a 10-inch cast iron skillet, this still would have easily filled it out. So that's something to consider. The recipe for this is indeed on my website. Again, Cast Iron Chaos. You can just simply look that up on Google, or based on my username, it is modemac.com, modemac.com. Yes, I'm plugging my website and my YouTube channel. No, I am not asking for TikTok gifts. I don't do TikTok gifts. I'm not monetized. I'm not going to be monetized. Because TikTok is full of racists. That's why. I am not going to get involved with that. Alright, now from here, let's sprinkle a few more chocolate chips over the top. As if there weren't enough chocolate chips already, right? Okay, but there we are. Here is our cookie. A giant, well, not even giant. For me, this is quite small. A 9-inch cast iron skillet cookie. Only took a few minutes to put together from scratch. And now this will go into the oven to bake at 325 degrees for about 30 minutes. So, before we end this live video, because I'm not going to sit and wait live for 30 minutes, let's at least give you folks the pleasure of watching it go into the oven. And away we go. And the cookie is in the oven. It is now 7:10, which means I will be checking it in 30 minutes at 20 minutes of 8. There we go. Like I said, giant skillet cookie. My website is Cast Iron Chaos. I've made these videos of these cookies a number of times on YouTube, and you can easily find them on YouTube by looking for my name again, Cast Iron Chaos. Hope you've enjoyed yourselves. And now with that, we will return you to the regular vast wasteland of political arguments that is TikTok Live. But thank you to everybody who was kind enough to watch for a few minutes. Talk to you later. Have fun and have a good evening. I love making these giant skillet cookies. Actually, this is a 9-inch cast iron skillet, and frankly, I'm not used to making cookies this small. I'm usually used to making pizza-sized cookies, like maybe about 14 or 15 inches across, but that's because they're so easy to make and really inexpensive. This particular cookie is going to go to my neighbors next door who have just moved in. They showed up at my door the other night and presented a gift of some muffins, which of course they didn't have to do. It was very, very nice of them to say hi like that, and so of course I simply have to return the favor. So I will return the container for those muffins along with this giant cookie that will probably give them a sugar rush that will last all night.